Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of Choose to Challenge. I am LaWanna Bradford. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that may be joining us for the very first time, Choose to Challenge is a platform designed to bubble up those conversations, to shift the narrative when it comes to things that are blocking us from elevating and expanding to the best and highest version of ourselves. Things like mindsets, systems, institutions, biases, relationships. It's all about being our best self. And today I'm excited because I have none other than the amazing Barbara J. Beckley joining us. How's it going, Miss Barbara?
Hello, Miss LaWanna Bradford. So thankful to be and honored to be on Choose Challenge.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. For those of you who do not know Barbara, I'd like to just take a moment to introduce you. Barbara is coming at us from Kenosha, Wisconsin. She is also a media personality with her TV network called the Diamond Factor Experience Network. She is also a seasoned dual-preneur, where she works both in the commercial investment insurance space, as well as she is an entrepreneur. And within the entrepreneur space, she's a coach, she's a mentor, she's a speaker. She has been on executive stages. She is also a best-selling author, but I just gave you all the labels, all the titles. But let's talk about what she does. So I want you to lean in. This woman has such a passion, and she's on a mission for individuals to identify why they're here, why you matter, what imprint do you want to leave in this world? What's your legacy? And she likes to call it your PPD, your purpose, passion, and drive. And everything she does in those lanes on the entrepreneur front, whether she is speaking on stages, interviewing individuals on her shows, teaching and coaching, is all about helping people to understand who they are so that they can show up authentically, boldly in their purpose, passion, and drive.
Oh, I need to take this and use this so you can always introduce me. Thank you so much, Queen.
Oh gosh. The one thing, Barbara and I typically spend our time talking about business. And we share experiences as far as our clients, lessons learned. Um, but this time, Barbara had a wake up call, and we started to, and we talk about our overall wellness because she's also the co-founder of Celebrate You, Women Embracing Her Wellness, which is a platform designed to, again, help women step into their authenticity, but doing so mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. And Barbara had a physical knock at the door. And we decided that it was time to kind of be a little transparent and talk about health, how not to take it for granted.
Yeah.
And I want to just turn it over to you, Barbara, because I know, especially when we're at a certain point in our lives, we're younger, we feel like we're invincible, right?
Yeah.
Things are going great. We can do whatever we want. We can eat whatever we want. We can stay up as late as we want. We are burning the candles at both ends, and it seems like it has no impact until. Barbara, what happened this summer with you?
Yeah. Yes, you're talking about getting brick thrown at you. That's what happened to me. A big, huge brick. So I'm glad that I'm able to, and this is the first time I'm really going to be really putting this story out. So thank you, LaWanna, for giving me this platform to do it, because I really want people to know your health takes over everything in your life. I mean, it doesn't matter for me to have a business, to be an entrepreneur, everything that LaWanna said, it's nothing when your health is at risk or it's at a certain level. And it really hit me. It's been like a month and a half ago. So it's kind of fresh that I was feeling a certain way. And it was just a week was going by where I was feeling really weak. Then I was feeling tired. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's just, I'm working 2 jobs, all that. I'm used to being a little tired. Okay. But then the third day came in, and then I didn't want nothing to eat all of a sudden. Then again, this is me. Well, I'm trying to lose weight anyway, so maybe it's a good thing that stopped. So, and I don't eat that. I wasn't eating that much anyway. I was the type of person that I eat here and there and that. So again, wasn't even checking myself. Then a week and a half passed. I got more weak, more tired. Wasn't eating anything. Couldn't even put food in my mouth because I couldn't taste it. And I said, okay, this is a little bit strange now. Started seeing myself losing a little weight more and more. Again, was happy because I wanted to lose the weight. But my body felt like it wasn't right. You know how sometimes you just don't feel right? Something's not right. Something's not feeling right like you used to. I mean, I understand getting a cold and everything like that sometimes, but I just really felt like my body was just shutting down, which it was. So for a whole 2 weeks, I always say learn from, Barbara's mistakes when you hear my stories. Whole 2 weeks, I went through this to the point where I couldn't even lift up my hands, lift my legs. I was that weak. And I just told myself, I think I need to go to urgent care or something. So I got myself together. I drove myself to urgent care. And soon as they got me, they were like, they took my blood. They took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was 296 over 100, and I think it was 130.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I'm going to let you sit there for a minute. I know LaWanna's face, because when she found out about those from me, she's like, you could have died. I mean, that's like, what's going on there, And when the doctor said, they said, wait a minute. So all of a sudden, when they seen that, they were starting to do, check my heart and do EKG and all. I mean, they were just rushing all over the place. And I'm just lying. I mean, I was, weak and stuff, but I'm looking around like, why is everybody this is me still. Why is everybody just running around looking all crazy? And I was like, okay, can somebody say something or tell me something? Do you have a headache? Do you feel heart pains? I mean, that's all I was getting from it. Do you feel this? Do you feel? I was like, no. I said, I'm feeling a little stressed out a little bit right now because y'all stressing me out running around here. But they had explained to me, Barbara, you are on the cuff. Your blood pressure is sky high. Usually people have heart attacks or whatever at this point in time. So they put me right into the hospital right then and there, and found out I was very dehydrated. I had to stay on I always call it the water pour. That's what I call it, in my body for at least 3 to 4 days. I was in the hospital for 5 days until I got my strength back. They had to get my blood level right, my blood pressure, everything. So as I was lying there, now this is the first go around. As I was lying there in the hospital and so weak, had all these tubes, everything like took on me, and just laying there, still trying to say to myself, well, I got to do my show, and people don't know where I'm at right now, and I need to go send an email to somebody. I mean, this was still going in my head, and the nurse said, that ain't going to happen. You need to get yourself together. Do you know that you're in emergency care right now? And when the nurse told me that, she said, no, Barbara. And I laid there, and I was like, how am I any good for anybody else? And I'm just laying here. I'm just messed up. And I said, she got a point. So I started thinking, okay, I gotta take care of myself. I gotta have this time to rest. I gotta see what's going on in my body. Why did it shut down like this? What happened?
Let's pause right there, because like you said, that was the first half. So I know there's a part 2 to this. What I want the audience to lean into, again, you were going through life, all is well. You had some indicators, just like our car. We can drive our car and that light comes on the dashboard, check engine, but you were still driving. You're like, oh, it's okay. I got a few more miles, right? So all of a sudden it's like the car, meaning as an analogy for your body, is getting a little sluggish. Yeah. To the point that you said you were too weak to even raise your limbs. And But you also mentioned while in the hospital, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you knew you needed care, but for some reason your mind is minimizing it while you're overshadowing it with I got to do emails, I got to do my shows, I gotta. But the priority was your health. So, what do you think caused you at that point to still, and again, that's the title of the show, still kind of take it for granted? Like, I still got my health. I got work to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that time, at that moment, that's what you call denial. I was in a denial stage. Um, Even in urgent, not urgent, well, in the emergency care, even in emergency care, even having tubes in my arms. I had two. They were like, I was like, I couldn't move anywhere. And I'm sitting here, my legs swelled up. I mean, still couldn't eat anything, couldn't taste nothing. I just was laying there, in and out, still talking about I need to do this. I was in denial because I didn't want to think that I got to this point. I wasn't grasping at the fact that, Barbara, your body is basically saying, is hollering out here. And you don't even want to admit the fact right now. So that was the portion. Now you said that's the first half.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about denial, because there's time when we're going through whatever our journey is, right? It's a grief, it's a change, right? This is something, your body's changing, your body's not responding the way it has in the past. You're hearing this, you're seeing everything around you. Like you said, you got tubes in your body, you're getting fluids, you can't eat. Nurses are saying, hey, this is critical, you're in emergency care, but you were still in denial. Something inside of you is like, like the three monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, speak. I don't want to see it, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to, I just don't.
Yeah.
What would you say, Barbara, before we go into part two, to individuals who are going through any change in life? Life has knocked them on the doors. People say life be lifing, but they can't face it. They tend to have the ostrich syndrome. Let me bury my head. I don't want to accept what's going on. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, when I say accept, I'm not saying that you're embracing it, saying, yes, I'm celebrating what's happening to me. But there is a point in time where we have to recognize and say, okay, this is, before we can move on and get better, right? We got to own it to move forward.
Yeah. Yes. I was always so used to just, dealing with my body, and then it just kind of just spurts back up. Like, okay, if I drink this, if I do this, if I rest for an hour, I'm good. Let's just keep it moving. But it wasn't doing that anymore. It was like, we're not moving anywhere. Period. That's basically what my body was telling me. And I'm like, well, you're going to do something, because I'm not going to be just laying here. I mean, this is me talking to myself. I said, you're going to do something, because I can't just lay here in this. And the more I said I needed to do something, the worse I was getting.
Wow.
And that's where, I'm trying to figure out how to say, come to Jesus meeting with myself, or whatever you want to say. I have to say it was a come to Jesus meeting. Truly, it was a come to Jesus meeting for me, where I had to say, okay, let's stop this now. This is more serious than just you trying to just get a little rest, and then, they'll let you go home. You can't go home right now. There's no way you can go home. Your body basically, I mean, they were telling me the second day when they were giving me the fluids, they said, they were checking for my kidneys, they were checking for my liver, all that. They thought my liver was damaged. They was checking my kidneys and saying, okay, there might be some issues with that. Now we're talking about different vital organs they're coming and telling me about. And I'm telling you, that's when I just was like, okay, this is serious stuff now. This is really hitting home.
There's an individual who we both know, and one of the things that she talks about is health and knowing your body, and that it's like you pay the price now or pay the price later. Meaning, if we take care of our bodies today, then the bodies will take care of us tomorrow. We don't take care of our bodies today, then we have issues tomorrow. But, and I like you to talk to this, there are times when we can do the right things. Like you said, you're doing your thing, you've got your routine, you eat small meals, but your body wasn't happy.
Yeah. No, it wasn't happy at all. I thought I was happy, but my body wasn't happy. And the older, well, I mean, like I said, I really, a lot of stuff that changed my whole mindset was the last few days, the first time I was in the hospital, and then really hit home my second round of being in the hospital. I didn't know if you want me to go into that just yet, but
Yeah, go ahead. So to our listening audience, we're here with Barbara J. Beckley, who is social media personality and influencer, and she had a wake-up call this summer dealing with her health. And today we're talking about how not to take it for granted, health, how not to take it for granted. And Barbara has talked to us about her first hospitalization that happened this summer. And she said there is a second phase, and she's getting into that right now. Barbara.
So first phase of it, determined to leave, determined to get out of the hospital, saying, okay, can we just move this along? When they did start telling me about my certain, like I mentioned before, about certain organs that might be damaged a little bit, that's when my wake-up call was slowly opening up. Then the fifth day happened where they said, you're doing better, the fluids are in you, but you're going to have to do your blood pressure every hour of every day because it's still a little bit high. And we need to make sure that, your blood sugar, all that. So I had to not only I had to do my check my blood pressure every day, they were concerned about my blood sugar too, because I was on the cuff of being a diabetic. So they wanted to make sure there was nothing going on with that as well, which that was steady there. And then they gave me all this stuff that I needed to do, like change my food, change the way. So I was like, okay, here we go again. I got to, make sure I'm eating right and everything. Went home and started the journey a little bit. Still, it was like, I still like this kind of food. I still want to eat this, but I said, okay. So I was slowly doing it, but I had a checkup. I had to do a checkup. I had that week, and I had to go back to the doctor so they can make sure I'm taking my, doing everything I was supposed to do, what they gave me to do. Well, went back to the doctor that Friday, got out of the hospital that Tuesday, went back Friday. And I noticed when I was walking back to the clinic for my appointment, I was breathe. It's like it was really hard for me to breathe. Now I have asthma, but it wasn't feeling like my asthma was acting up. It felt like more because I was like, I had to stop, then I had to hold myself before I got there. I was like, oh my God. I said, is this all because of what I went through? I was just thinking about all this stuff, maybe when in the hospital the first time and my body's still getting adjusted to walking. You try to do that little self explanatory on yourself. And then I said, I got to tell him about this. This is not right. So I get in the clinic, see the doctor. They check everything. They ask me how I'm doing with my diet and stuff. I said, I'm doing okay, but for some odd reason, my breathing. And they said, what? As soon as they went to my asthma too, they said, well, is your asthma okay? You have your inhaler? I said, yeah, that's cool. I said, but it's just like, so he said, well, let's do a CT test on you and see what's going on. I said, okay. And they did a rush on it that day. And I waited for the results that day. And it came back. And when he came back in the room, 2 other nurses came with him, which that was kind of odd to me because I'm like, okay, why are they? It seems like you got a whole team here all of a sudden. And they're like, Barbara, you're going to have to come back in the hospital right now. I was like, So the first thing I was thinking was, well, I was following a little bit of what you told me. I mean, I did the diet thing. I got the sheet. What? I'm like a little kid, like, I don't want to go back I don't want to go back in the hospital like a little kid. He's like, you need to go back because from the tests, we found out that you have not one, but 3 blood clogs next to your lungs.
Oh.
Yeah, the way LaWanna's face is looking right now, that's how I was looking. But I think it looked like I seen a ghost. You know how some people be saying they had that outer body experience, like they're looking outside of their body and they're like, what's going on here? That's what kind of really happened to me when he said that. Now I hear people, I heard blood clogs before and what it does and everything, but when it's saying that directly to you, that's a whole nother program. And the first thing I looked at the doctor, he said, are you okay? And that's why the nurses were there too, because they had a wheelchair for me, which I was kind of, okay, on the side note here, little jokey joke. I said, dang, my age is showing even more. I got to go in a wheelchair. And they said, Miss Beckley, we got to put you in a wheelchair. We don't want you walking. You got a blood clot. You can't be walking on the other side of the hospital. It's nothing to do with your age right now. I was like, okay. But it was just, I was like, Dad, you're ready. He said, yes, this is serious stuff. 3, we need to get you some blood thinners going. We need to get you back on IV. I mean, he was just telling me the whole 9 yards what they had to do. So they moved me to emergency again. And I had to stay in the hospital for another 5 days. And that's when the whole, in my mind, the taking for granted popped up really, 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 really hard. Really hard. And first day I was in, the second day, I think I cried for like 2 hours in a hospital bed, just straight crying. And the first thing I asked myself is, how did I get myself here? How did I get here? And, I had to take all that in. And I want to tell people, LaWanna, by saying that, because I want to walk them through this journey with me, because it's okay to do that. It's okay to let out that emotion. It's okay to scream and cry and ask those questions, because I felt like if I would have held back, then I would have even made myself even worse as I was going through this journey of the health scare that I had.
Thanks for sharing that. And it's probably easier said than done when you feel good, right? There's nothing what you would consider catastrophic happening with your body. That you don't think about anything. And when we don't think about it, we're actually taking it for granted. Like our breathing every day, are we really thinking about it? Are we really thinking about every single breath? More often than not, no, unless we get centered and then we're focused on our breath. But there's just certain things that we assume will happen, right? If you're not mobility challenged, well, I assume when I get up and swing my legs to the bed that I'll be able to stand up and walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it also shows the strength of the body, but also how fragile it can be at the same time. That when those indicators are going off, it's important to pause. I know many people is like, I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want to go to get checked. But the good thing is that you knew your body. I mean, you took it a little while, for 2 weeks, but you got to the point that, okay, wait a minute. I'm not bouncing back. Everything I'm doing it's not working. What would you like to tell? Because we're saying how not to take it for granted. If you were to give 3 keys for women, especially, to consider when it comes to their health, because it's so easy for us to get distracted, to make excuses as to, I don't have time to go. we're juggling things, or we dismiss it. Oh, it's just a little headache. It's nothing. But it could be. And I'm not saying we're trying to create hypochondriacs here. No. But if you really tapped into the body, it's talking to you every single day.
Yeah.
Right? Every
Yes.
day it's telling you something.
Yeah.
So if you're able to, think about, well, what would you want to tell someone when it comes to being mindful and not taking their health for granted?
Well, one thing, like I said, the learning experience after this for me is first that every little sign, and like I said, don't get crazy over it, like LaWanna said, but really know your body and know when things are not acting right. And I'm just saying that's one of the keys, because if I had not mentioned the fact to my doctor that I was breathing a little bit different when I was walking from my car to the second appointment, I would have went home with that blood clot. See, that's the part that really was, and he just kept echoing that. And the nurses kept echoing that. They said, Barbara, we wouldn't have knew. You would have never, they would never ordered a test, nothing like that. If you just open your mouth. And the doctor even said, he said, you're one of my patients, Barbara, that you don't complain a lot about stuff. I mean, when you start saying, okay, I think you need to check on this, he said, I check on it. He said, I say I don't check on my other clients because they always talking about stuff. He said, but you different, because you'll sit there, you do the opposite. You don't want to say anything. You be trying to go home and nurture or whatever. He said, but when you came to me and said, I'm not breathing right, something's wrong here, that's when I knew I had to look at this twice and say, let's get some tests done. So when you really know in your body that something is just not acting right at all, I mean, totally like opposite, that's like ding, ding, ding. And I'm so glad I said that, because if I wouldn't have, I would have went back home. And they even told me, they said, you'd have laid down and might not have got back up. Period. That's what they told me. So that's one. Second, and this was a hard one for me, because if people know me, and LaWanna knows me, I'm this work all day, work all night, like the little energized bunny. Just, I got to get it done. I got to get it done. I got to help this. I got to do that. Well, when I was laid in the hospital in the bed with the tubes and everything, what could I get done? All I could do is lay there and get myself better. So the second thing I said, nothing matters if you don't have your health. Nothing matters. You can't get nothing done. And I even took it a step forward. If I'm trying to be a leader in what I do and my expertise, and I'm not showing up right, and I'm not checking on myself, and I'm not trying to do the best Barbara that I can, how am I going to sit there and help lead or guide or mentor somebody else if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do? Yeah. So that's
I mean, we hear that a lot, if you don't have health is wealth. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And yeah, it's like, I was reading, this is a while ago, but with Steve Jobs, and he died, unfortunately, of cancer. And he would have traded everything to have his health back. All the millions and millions and millions didn't mean anything. You can have all the money in the world, and it may not make a difference. And it makes me think about, I mean, you were blessed where you had the means and the access to health care. You have a provider who has a relationship with you and knows you. There's so many people, not only in this country, but in the world, that do not have that do not have access to timely, responsive medical care, do not have the means in which to pay for it, let alone have a physician that knows you intimately. So even that in and of itself is something that we can take for granted, knowing, oh, I got Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm good. I can go here. I can go wherever. And so many people don't have that.
Yeah. 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 I was going to add to that, LaWanna, where about the healthcare, because now, I'm on certain medication right now still. I'm still on the blood thinner. I got to be on that for a little bit. And I'm always checking out, like, what's the price before before like my co-payment or before the insurance hits. And it just blew me away of how much just the blood thinner medication, I think it was in the thousands. And by the time, I'm paying copay, it dwindled it down way well. I mean, I'm under 300 compared to 1,500 that I would have paid for. I mean, without having any health insurance or anything. So that just told me right there, just like you said, LaWanna, I said, I never want to take for granted of the health insurance I have that I'm able to have through my job. Never. Because if I didn't have that, who say I would still be here? And I know that's blunt, but I'm being truthful, because I needed to have that medication at the time to keep my blood going so the blood clots can go. So if I couldn't get none of that, that would have been a whole different story.
And that's one of the things when we think about equity and access. There's so many restrictions simply because of communities or affordability that prevent people from living their best lives. And I sometimes hear individuals who are blessed with health. Their health may have been challenged, but right now they are totally blessed, and your health is a blessing. Mm-hmm. But they take it and then they look at others and they're very critical and condemning. And again, all they're doing is reading the book from the cover. They don't know the journey. They don't know causal factors. They don't know what people have access to or not. And they can be very flippant about it. I remember when I was married, my ex-husband, just the pillar of health. And I suffered at that time from severe, debilitating migraines. And it was very hard for him to empathize with that, because he's like, just do this, just do that. I'm like, well, first of all, there's a neurological issue going on that I've been dealing with since I was 16. Had the top neurologist in the world. And it's not just drink more water or just, if it was just, don't you think I would have already done it?
Yeah.
And this is my husband. So I can only imagine what other people may feel. Mm-hmm. You feel guilty if you're not healthy, right? You feel like you're alone, you're marginalized.
Yes.
You're seeking for community and support, and it's not there because people, again, are judging the book by its cover.
Yeah.
Without understanding the story. They haven't opened it up to read the pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I always say, I was just talking, I think we were talking the other day about invisible conditions in a person. And just because you see the outside, that doesn't mean you say, okay, well, that person's eating too much. Let's use his weight. Person eat too much. Or, why that person look that way? Why can't she move a certain way? Everybody can move. You can walk, you can do, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, where you might have some issues where you can't, the reason why you can't walk. Or there's certain things, medical reasons or what have you, that's making you not, it might not be food. Sometimes a lot of people are overweight sometimes, and sometimes it's not even the food. It has to do with a lot of other things going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just heard, and I can't remember the individual, he was talking about that exact same thing. He said, I am so tired. He's a nutritionist and a naturopath. And he said, I'm so tired when my clients come to me and they're frustrated because they're dealing with, let's say, a weight issue. And he said, I asked him, what did you do? And they said, well, I was told to eat less, exercise more. And he says, it's not a 9 times out of 10. He said, it's not a food problem. Yeah, there's times when people are not eating the right foods. He said, but more often than not, I'm not dealing with patients that are eating 4 or 5 cheeseburgers a day. I'm not dealing with that. And he says, and it's not exercise more, because these people are trying to kill themselves in the gym but the scale isn't budging. And he said, just like you said, there's something deeper. It could be hormonal, it could be psychological, it could be the side effects of another medicine.
Yeah. Or another
There's
disease.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because I know this is, well, I'm just another medical thing for myself. 12, it's been 13 years now. Cancer conqueror, as I always say. But I had to get a hysterectomy done because I had uterus cancer. And now I'm thinking, they had to remove everything. So I was like, okay, my hormones will get better and I won't be going through certain things on that. Now, 2-3 years passed. I was like, Doc, that's what I call him. I said, why am I seem like, the weight and everything? I thought after you kind of, remove some things, he's like, okay, we removed the organ, but the disease is still in your body. And he was, it was ovarian cyst syndrome. That's what I had. Yeah. He said, just because we removed them, Barbara, that doesn't mean that it stopped the process of what's going on inside of you. So I made a face like this. Because I was like, I thought after that, my weight and all that kind of stuff would be okay. And he's like, no, he said, you'll always have that, even though we removed it. So just as an example, again, of an invisible condition that nobody would know, LaWanna. I mean, it's not like I'm going around telling everybody, well, because I did this and there's a disease and there's a cyst. No, I don't, you wouldn't know. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
We're going to pause, take a little break. Barbara Beckley, the Diamond Factor Experience, is actually the sponsor for today's show. So we'll give you a little peek on what the Diamond Factor Experience is all about. And we'll be right back.
Introducing the Diamond Factor Network, where we turn your business into a beacon of success. Imagine having your TV streaming show reaching audiences far and wide. It's possible with the Diamond Factor Network. Unlock the power of your brand with our state-of-the-art TV streaming platform. Your show, your way. Feature highlights, customized shows, global reach, and professional support. Coaching by Barbara J. Beckley, Purpose, Visibility, and Social Media Strategist. Ready to elevate your brand? Join the Diamond Factor Network today and let your brilliance light up the world. Shine bright because your success is our priority.
I love that. So we talked about number one, you said knowing your body, knowing it, recognizing when things seem a little out of whack, and then being willing to open up your mouth and say something. Because if you don't say something, if someone doesn't just happen to stumble across it, they won't know. And then you said, number two, nothing matters if you don't have your health.
Yeah.
Number three.
Yeah.
What's the third point for the audience?
It might go into number two, but as I was lying there, because these are all lessons I learned as I was lying in the hospital for the second time around for 5 days. And 2 days before, one day before I left the hospital, first of all, I have to give credit to all the nurses out there at the medical center that took care of me, because they were just so sweet and loving. And I've learned that even through what I was going through, still show kindness, still show gratitude, still be thankful to others, because if it wasn't for them being there for me, and just one nurse even came in late at night because I wasn't getting no sleep. It's like I still couldn't sleep. 2:00 in the morning, she came in, sat next to me, and we watched a movie together. I thought that was so cute. And she kept saying, "Are you okay? You need some water or whatever?" I said, "No, I'm cool." And I looked at her, I said, "You know what? Just the company of having you watch the movie with me is enough." And she was like, "Oh." And, I just told myself I can't take things for granted. Even I wasn't even feeling good. don't take other people for granted, and thank them when you can thank them. So, and what the nice thing about it is after I left the last day, they came in and they gave me 2 little roses, and they said, "You have been our best person that we took care of in the hospital for a long time, Barbara. You didn't give us no complaints or anything." I said, "Well, yeah, for one reason, because I couldn't talk and I was tired." but it was just nice to know that they were there, and that I think that did a lot for me to heal and go on my healing journey too. In fact, I know it.
What you just said, that is huge. And I know I've been in hospital settings where you hear a patient yelling and screaming, at the doctors, and it could be because they're in pain. I don't know. Maybe they're impatient, they're tired of waiting. But like you said, these individuals are there. They're frontline care providers, and to show kindness and gratitude and being thankful is huge. And it actually, like I think about with my dad, and everyone always has said, if he had to go in, "Oh, he's such a great patient." You want to be known as a great patient, as someone who's not. I mean, you need them.
Yeah.
Right? You need them. So why go in there and show out? You need them.
Yeah.
They want you to get as well as you can, so that they can release you to go home and fully convalesce. But I think that's a big one, and I just want to go over these again. So Barbara J. Beckley and I were here talking about your health and how not to take it for granted. And these are 3 things that on her 2-time visit to the hospital for emergency crisis. Number 1, she said, you got to know your body. You have to recognize when things seem off. You have to be willing to say something. Then she said, nothing matters if you do not have your health. And that's true. And then the 3rd thing, which is so important, is showing kindness and gratitude and being thankful to those who are there for you.
And I just have to, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do have to say this. Not only the nurses, I give them a lot of love, but I have to give, I'm not saying this because I'm on her show, but I have to give Miss LaWanna Bradford some love. And I have to just say that she checked on me to the point she found me. She found me. She made phone calls till she's like, okay, I got to go to the hospital. Where is this woman at? And I feel like the bat signal was on or something. So I really, between her and Deborah Morris, I got to give both some love right now. You just don't know, and I don't want to cry right now. I'm trying not to hold that in. That just knowing that people are there that care, and this really just shows you the ones that do. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And there's I don't know if you remember this song. It's like, friends are there when you need them. Friends are there when you call. If your friends aren't friends all the time, you don't have any friends at all. And it's easy to see people surrounding you when life is good, everything's great, no issues. But when the rubber meets the road and things get a little rough, it's like the friendship is like, where'd everybody go? And for me, Barbara and I were friends, but we're also business partners. So like day 3, I couldn't reach her. I thought, that's odd. Because there's days we don't necessarily talk every day, but this was 3 days texting, calling, messaging, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, something doesn't feel right. And I just, my mind just started thinking back, like maybe about 8 or 9 months earlier, in October, I think it was, you had an emergency situation. I thought, well, I hope she's not sick. And then, you start thinking when your friend lives alone, it's like, oh my gosh, I hope she's not, she didn't fall or something.
Yeah.
And you're right. I'm like, okay, I can't get a hold of her. Another friend who I knew her was out of the country. So I'm like, okay, start dialing. You got a Barbara J. Beckley? No. Okay, next one. And I'm like, I hope she's still in the Kenosha, Wisconsin area, and they didn't move her to Chicago, because now I got a lot of dialing to
do. I'm telling you, it was the back signal. She tracked me down, and I was like, wow, I even answered the phone. I'm like, hello? Because the phone rang in the hospital room.
Yeah, the hospital phone, because she wasn't answering her phone. And then even Deborah Morrison, she is just heart of gold. She's like, LaWanna, I'm in Jersey. I can get on a plane right now. Yeah, because I was with my dad in Arizona, and I thought, wow. And I said, hold. I said, hold, stand by. I said, because I may need you to do that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh. So I was like, oh. But yeah, when I heard your voice, you like, what? What are you doing in the hospital? And even the nurse said, she said, oh, your phone's ringing. I was like, nobody don't know this number. But yeah, and then my phone shut down because, of course, when you're in the hospital, I didn't think about carrying my charger, so that was dead. Yeah, so that's another thing. Make sure, I don't care where you go, have your charger. Have your charger. But yeah. But yeah, love all over. Thank you.
Well, this has been great. You've been here listening to Health, How Not to Take It for Granted with Barbara J. Beckley. I just want to put her contact information below. Again, Barbara is a coach, a speaker, a mentor. If you want to contract her out for speaking engagements, be a guest on the Diamond Factor Network, you can email her at diamondfactorexperience@gmail.com or DM her on Facebook. She's easy to find. And excuse me, and if you want to be on the show as a guest on Choose the Challenge, if you have a story that you believe will inspire and help someone else, we'd love to have a conversation, hear your story, and make sure that you're a good fit for us and our audience. And information is below. You can just give me a phone call and register for either a complimentary consult that I can give you, or we can just bring you on and you can meet our E360 community and beyond. So again, Barbara, thank you so very much for being on Choose the Challenge.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And to our listening audience, we look forward to seeing you next week for another edition of Choose the Challenge. I am LaWanna Bradford. And just remember, in life and in business, don't be afraid to rise up, stand up, speak out, and choose the challenge. Because when your vision intersects with opportunity, in this case, her vision to be healthy intersected with opportunity of having the right care providers waiting on her, success is inevitable. So we wish you much success, much joy in life. Until next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.